how much am I going to become attached to this thing? And that's what I mean about the story. How attached am I to this personification of what I believe that I am? When in actuality, we're so much more than those stories. Also, what I'm seeing is that many people are putting themselves into a place of identifying with a particular outcome or potential outcome, or identifying with the expectation of how things should be, which is, from my perspective, that is a story that we're creating in our mind. It isn't real. It isn't. We are listening to someone tell something, and then we say, oh, that is what it is. But we have to keep in mind that our belief is based on our perspective, and our perspective isn't necessarily real, if that makes sense. Our perspective is really our perspective that we are then attaching to a particular thing. And let's say it's a political thing, okay? We have a belief that this politician is this. That doesn't mean that that's really what's going on. It means that's what we've been told, that's what we believe, that's what we've bought into, and that's what we're identifying with. Then we create an expectation based on that belief. We create a story in our mind about that, or we add to that story our feelings, right? Our thoughts, our energy. And then that becomes part of who we think we are. I am Republican. I am Democrat. I am a woman. I am a man. Whatever it is. Again, there's these fine lines that we're all really being called to recognize. And then again, I'm leading this back to, that can be anything. I am a light worker. I am a healer. So I am all of those things from one perspective, but I am not that thing. I might focus my energy on those things or express myself in that way, but that doesn't mean that's who I am. And if I believe in a particular political leader, that's fine. That's a choice I am making to create, and I think that person should win. That person will win. Oh, this person is the savior. That's a story that I am attaching myself to energetically. It's that simple. And it might be that story is true, but it might also be that story isn't true. And this is part of what we're seeing in the collective, people over-identifying with stories that they've been taught, that they've been told, that they've been telling themselves. And, one of the things I hear a lot is if it resonates with you. And I do think that's important. Ooh, should we go here? So let's go there just for a moment. When we resonate with something, let's play with this for a minute. This has kind of become like a word in the spiritual community, especially, but I also see it a lot in the truther community and just in general. So let's break that word down just a little bit, because it's important to recognize what we're saying. And, sometimes I say things and I go back and I go, oh, I could have probably said that a little differently. So when we say I resonate with what they're saying, if you look online, I'm on oxfordlearnersdictionaries.com. To resonate with somebody or something, to remind someone of something, to be similar to what someone thinks or believes. These issues resonated with the voters. His speech resonated with the fears and suspicions of his audience or hers. Now, the reason I'm sharing this is because I hear this a lot. Well, I really resonated with that person. So if you resonate with it, people are kind of taking it as truth. And that's sticky. And the reason is this. What we resonate with, right here it says, to remind someone of something. So if we have a story that we agree with, that resonates with us, that we feel not necessarily just good about, but we identify with, oh, well, that person has the same beliefs that I do. That person has the same values that I have. I resonate with that person. we're resonating with certain things in their field that are part of our belief system, our structure. Yet simultaneously, that doesn't mean that everything that that person talks about is true. It reminds us of something. It makes us feel connected. We feel like, yeah, that resonates with me. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Us using our senses to feel into what someone's saying is part of how we're supposed to, from a human and extrasensory, using all of our senses to feel into, to discern if someone is being honest or not, is part of what we're, when I say supposed to, this is a part of us. We have that ability for a reason. We can then sense something, and so we resonate with it or we don't resonate with it. But I could have someone who I might say, wow, there's a lot of solar flare activity today. And so these energies can kind of give us a heightened sense of whatever, just to be aware of that. And that person can say, okay, I don't resonate with her. That doesn't mean that what I'm saying isn't true. It just means that that person doesn't resonate with me. They don't agree with me. I potentially remind them of something that's weird. And so automatically they aren't on the same page. Therefore, they could go and tell someone else, I don't resonate with Carrie. So these are things to keep in mind. So we have a lot of people out there that are telling us stories. And because those stories are triggering within us, something that feels, it reminds us of memories, things that we have, thought patterns, things that might have happened to us, connections that we may have made, memories, synapses that have fired, that have created patterns in our bodies, in our brain. And sometimes those patterns can actually be based on distortions. Let's say I look like, I meet this woman and we have this conversation about the weather. And I talk about a weather pattern that's real. And I might use a word such as energy. And that person's very logical, analytical. They also don't even know what, energy. Okay. Very, very left brain in a particular dimension, so on and so forth. And everything I'm saying is true about this weather pattern. Yet this person, I remind them of their husband's ex-girlfriend. It doesn't matter what I say, she still has that memory, and everything I could say 2 + 2 is 4, that's red, that car over there is a Toyota, whatever it might be. And she can walk away and say, I don't resonate with her at all. Because I have activated a memory within her in which there's a pattern or a disturbance, a vibration that she doesn't feel good about. And she hasn't necessarily made that connection. Oh, okay, that's why I'm feeling this way. So automatically the response is, I don't resonate. These are things to keep in mind, because a lot of people are throwing that word around, because you resonate with someone, it must be correct. So let's take that to the next level of where we could really go with that. And that means the deeper meaning. Resonate is to produce or be filled with a deep reverberating sound. That is the meaning of resonate. So we've incorporated that with reminding us of someone or something, and to be similar to what someone thinks or believes. So this person's a Democrat, I resonate with them. Because you're on the same vibration. You're on the same frequency. But those thoughts and beliefs have a frequency and a pattern. And potentially it could be that you're resonating with those patterns and not really the true resonance, which is to produce electrical or mechanical resonance, which is a harmonic of the sound behind the sound. So I'm going to take this into a deeper level here. For me, when I'm listening to someone, I'm trying to tune into the resonance of that person. And if I don't resonate with them, I start to ask myself, what is it that I don't resonate with? I can then identify, is it a belief because of what they're talking about? Or is it actually an energy that they are putting out because of their frequency and vibration? Then I can begin to identify what it is that I'm identifying with energetically. Does that make sense? So for me, maybe it will for some people, some it won't. For me, I can listen to someone on the television and I can resonate with the words they're talking about. Yeah, but sometimes I can listen to someone and I agree with what they're saying, but I don't resonate with them because what they're saying is based off of a script that they're reading that they don't agree with. And you can feel it. It's the sound behind the sound. It's a frequency. So someone can be saying something that I agree with. I resonate with that. It reminds me of something. I feel good about that. But then if you go a little deeper, I feel a resonance behind them that energetically I don't resonate with. Is it because they remind me of something or someone that's hurt me in the past? Is it because they represent a political party that I don't resonate with? Or is it because they're holding a lower frequency of anger, frustration, shame? Or is it because they're saying something they don't really believe in? Do you see the layers? And this is where us as humans are really being called to start recognizing all of these layers and feeling into them. Just because we don't resonate with something, that word is being kind of thrown around, much like the word awake, woke, awakening, all of that. When did that get hijacked? So really recognizing that these are all things to just be aware of. And, you know, somebody might say, well, if it doesn't resonate with you, just let it go. And I've said that before, but let's take it to the next level. Why is it? What is it? Now, I will also add to this. There are some people who are so identified with certain things that they really believe I'm feeling this because I don't resonate with it. Therefore, it is that person is lying. And it really could be because that person is still identifying them with someone that hurt them or someone that's lied to them before. And they look like someone that's lied to them. There's so many layers, guys. So here's the crux of all of this. When we get into our heart and we find a place of coherence, we are in resonance with the frequency of the heart, which we could say is 432 hertz. There's the higher heart. I can't remember all of the numbers. We create a wave of energy and frequency, and it's going, let's say, that's the vibration. When these other frequencies come into that space, we're able to feel them from a more neutral place called coherence. We're in this balance, we're in the center. We feel, and from that coherent place, then we can understand at a deeper level what resonates and what doesn't. And that can help us cut through all of the noise and start to feel into what we can let go of, what we no longer necessarily need to believe or buy into, what stories are being told to us and what we're telling ourselves. What are we perpetuating? What are we continuing to enable that maybe isn't in a higher harmonic resonance of coherence? And it might have some resonance to it, but it isn't there quite yet. So the more we start to do this as a collective, as humanity, the more we all begin to become the tuning forks and really recognize what it is that we're tuning into and identifying with as our resonance. because it might just be a story that we think we're feeling, and in reality we're not in our hearts, we're not in coherence. That's why we're identifying with it, because we're not in resonance. That's why it feels good to us, because we're like, oh, that makes me feel this way. And I could go even deeper there. Paying attention to our feelings is important, but if we're not balanced and in coherence, those can even be, I don't want to use the word misleading, but let's say you have someone who is not grounded and emotionally unstable, and they go and talk with someone, and that person makes them feel uncomfortable. Therefore, they don't resonate with that person. Well, that person who is emotionally unbalanced or in a period of chaos isn't going to resonate with anyone else who doesn't fit within their resonance or frequency, because it makes them feel uncomfortable. It triggers them. Does that make sense? So these are things to kind of recognize as well. So hopefully someone found this helpful. In the meantime, get it back into our hearts, get into a place of coherence is what we're really being invited to do, to get ourselves into a place where we can feel our own discernment and where we can start to identify what we're over-identifying with and pull ourselves back into our own frequency and let go of the stories, which I talked about in my previous video, but also to go deeper into the truth of what real resonance is. Again, there's layers, just like there's layers of awakening. I've awakened to this, I've awakened to that, I've awakened to this, but there's more. The sound behind the sound. So, in love and light, namaste.